Hey everybody, we are live for day 3 of the video series that I promised to do for you guys. So the first day we talked a little bit about time management. Yesterday we talked about target marketing and our ideal client. And today we are going to talk about how to get those people to actually interact with you and your business. It's the next question that people have been asking me all the time. So I'm going to refresh my page on here. So as you guys are coming in live, I'll be able to see you and see the comments that are coming in because sometimes it does not like to show me here on my phone what's going on. So if you are joining me live, thank you so very much. I'm happy to have you guys here. And if you're checking out the replay afterwards, absolutely adore that you are here as well. Thank you so very much. I do appreciate it. So for those of you guys who do not know, I am Dawn Martinello. I run the website dawnmartinello.com where I teach people about personal branding and how to stand up and stand out online, especially in really overcrowded niches and industries. So like I said, today we are going to talk about how to get these people to actually interact with you in your business. And the question originally came in from somebody who is in direct marketing. And I am going to talk a little bit specific to direct marketing, but really, again, this applies to all the businesses, guys. There's not, it's not going to be something that's going to exclude it or, this doesn't work for my company, it doesn't work for me. So please do not think that way at all. And I'm going to refresh this page again because I am seeing people coming in, but I am not seeing anything show up here. So here we go. Awesome. Okay, so the biggest takeaway, if you guys take absolutely nothing else from this today, understand that the way to get people to interact with you is to actually do something worth interacting with, okay? It seems really common sense, but you would be surprised how many businesses are actually doing it wrong. So, for example, a lot of times what people are doing, and this is any business, okay, they are selling all the time. They've got links to their opt-in, they've got links to their blog posts, they've got links to their sales pages and payment buttons and everything else. But really, what does that offer to your people that are showing up? Absolutely nothing, right? So you really have to make sure that you're giving them something that's going to be worthwhile interacting with. If you're constantly talking to them and not giving them anything to respond to, there's absolutely no reason for them to actually respond. If you're really lucky, you might get somebody to like a post or give it a little bit of a heart, but you're not going to end up with anything worthwhile on there. And that's really not what we want, especially when we're talking about social media. So you need to make sure that you're doing that. So the first thing you need to do, oh, sorry guys, we're getting a call come in at the same time. There we go. So the first thing you need to do is actually take stock. Are people actually responding to things? Take a look at, if they're replying to your emails or taking action from inside those emails, then you're doing something right there. If on social media they're commenting on all of your pictures but never on anything else, then you're doing something right with the pictures and you're kind of being a little bit off key with everything else that's going on there. So look at what they're actually doing. Even when you're talking to them in person, a lot of times people are asking me, what do I do about an elevator pitch? How do I come up with that? If people are like, oh, and they try to change the subject, they're not responding to it. So it's not working. If you tell people what you do and they ask you more questions or they seem really interested, they want to learn more about you, then you're doing something right. Okay, so step number 1 is to actually take stock of whether or not anything's working. We talked a little bit about surveys yesterday when we talked about figuring out who our ideal client is. And you can do the exact same thing here. Do a survey. Find out what people are actually interested in. And if you remember from yesterday, I told you guys that target marketing, although very unglamorous, is really the starting point of everything in your business. And if you don't do it or you don't do it right, everything else falls. And this is a perfect example. If you don't know what your people are interested in, how are you going to be able to talk to them? How are you going to know what to post for them to have any kind of an interaction with you? If you know what really gets them going, what really gets them chattering, then you can post more of that. So what kind of a lifestyle are they looking for? Because it doesn't have to just be your brand, guys. You can do things that are off-brand that have nothing to do with you and still create a ton of interest, right? If you've got something newsworthy happening in the world, in your community, then you can post something like that on your page to create some interaction. Is it specific to your business? No, not at all. But it's going to create the reaction that you're going to be looking for. So how do we get these people to actually start interacting with us? I talked about giving them something to actually talk about. So stop talking just to them. Okay, that's kind of number one. If all you're ever doing is just posting a bunch of shit that there's no reason for people to interact with you, there's nothing to give a response to or their comment to, they're not going to comment. So give them something to actually talk about. Okay, one thing you guys got to watch, Facebook is now cutting back on this a whole lot, and it has to do with clickbait. And I know before you just kind of go off and do something else that this has nothing to do with you, it doesn't, because they don't actually define what clickbait is, okay? Sometimes it's very, very obvious, and we've all seen these pictures, or videos that they're showing up in your feed saying, oh my gosh, this lady is so cute. But, you won't believe what happens next. So those kind of things are really typical of what a clickbait is. But like I said, Facebook doesn't actually define what they're lowering the engagement and the reach for. So you have to watch out for leave a comment below or, specific asking them to do certain things in your post, because that can tend to be considered clickbait. So be very careful about how you're doing those things and how you're asking them to engage in things. But you do want to give them the opportunity of, kind of being able to respond to you. So if you're very concerned about it, you can talk about something that's newsworthy and say, here's what's going on in the world. Here's what I think. That's automatically going to start to create a conversation between people. So you really have to give them something to actually respond to, right? Super important. You can do things that are just fun, even if it has nothing to do with you, right? So you can go on to Pinterest and look for funny posts. You can do the same thing on Facebook. I usually, as I'm scrolling through Facebook, I'll come across different things that really stand out to me, whether they're funny or, something that I want to pull like a quote from. And I'll do a screenshot and they just live in my phone until I get around to my time where I'm going to pull them from my phone and actually put them into my content management. So you can do different things where you're looking online for photos or videos. People love cat videos. Just saying, guys, when you post things like that, even though it has nothing to do with your brand, the interaction that happens from that post creates more reach for your post, which means more people are going to come back and see everything that's on your page. So don't be crazy about thinking that, we should not be posting anything that doesn't have with us. So if you guys are coming in live, make sure that you leave me a little comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from so I can give you a quick little shout out too. So we talked about a few ways that how we can interact with people. The other thing too, you got to remember, guys, stories sell. Okay, stories absolutely sell. So do behind the scenes thing. So as your business grows, one of the biggest things people love to see is, what your office looks like or how you manage your teams. It's a huge deal, right? So, you can do these kind of fun little things offline and talk about the story behind it. And you can just write stories about what's going on in your life. You can, one of the biggest things you can do to make a sale anywhere is to create a story around it, right? So if you've got a story that you can relate to a product that you're going to be selling, that's a great way to start creating interaction and interest with your business and with you, okay? If you're telling some of your story, people are more interested in you. Okay, so start thinking about how you can intertwine all of these different stories into your social media, into talking about your business, into your sales. If you think about the Facebook page, Humans of New York, that's all they are just a bunch of stories, and people adore it. They absolutely adore it. And I touched on this originally in the very beginning. You guys have to stop selling so much. You've got to give them some kind of value, because here's what I see most business do. Sell, 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 me, sell, 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 me, sell, me, sell. Why am I going to do anything with that, right? What are you giving me in exchange? And, the value that you give isn't just the product that you're selling. It isn't just the content that you're providing. You've got to make sure that there's a reason for people to show up and interact with you. If all you ever do is just talk about what you want from somebody else, they're never going to do anything more than that, because it's just not going to be an equal exchange for anything. Okay, so you've got to have something of actual value. And a lot of times people will they will go through and they have a preconceived notion about what value is. I remember when I was in Avon, I went out prospecting with the district manager, and one of the things that I absolutely hated doing was going to doors where people had those do not solicit signs on them. And her theory was that her value trumped their sign, because she wasn't soliciting anything from them. She was actually offering them a business opportunity. This was something that didn't cost them any money. It was something that she was going to give to them. Therefore, she did not have to go through with the whole thing about no solicitation. And it always rubbed me the wrong way, because it's not, guys. Just because you have an opportunity from something doesn't mean it's valuable to somebody. So you've really got to start figuring out, what does my audience want and need? What are they struggling with? How can I provide help to them? And when you're posting different things on your site, or you're even just talking to people, you really have to start figuring out how you can convey that value to them. You can't just stick up a link to a sales page or to an opt-in and think, oh, there's my exchange of value, because it's kind of not, guys. So you've got to think about what that value is. The other way that you can really start to get a lot of engagement is through videos, okay? So this is part of the reason that I started doing this whole live stream thing. It was on Chris Ducker's recommendation to start doing all of the live stream. And videos in general do really, really well on social media, really well on mobile phones. But the live stream, because it's inside of Facebook's own platform, they actually end up pushing that above even just regular video that you're doing up there. The other nice thing that it does is it actually allows you to connect to people, because when people are reading the things that I'm posting or reading the blog posts that I'm doing, they have their own version of who I am, of how I'm coming across to them. But when they see me on video, they actually have a way of connecting to me a little bit more. So, consider doing the videos. And guys, it does not have to be anything huge or anything big. Right now I sit at my table. My table is where I do the majority of my work in my business. And I'm waiting for a tripod to show up for my phone. And right now I have a stack of books, and that's what my phone is resting up against. So every morning before I come on here, I go upstairs, I run a brush through my hair, put on a little bit of makeup. And I know it's a little bit tougher for us girls. We don't always have the opportunity to be able to do like men, who don't have to worry about all those kind of things. But, we do want to make sure that we kind of look a little bit presentable. So we do the bare minimums, and it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. I'm sitting in my dining room right now. I've got a couple of windows open so I don't look completely washed out. And luckily I did my hair yesterday at the hair salon, so I'm still kind of looking, relatively decent. But, if you go back to the first video, the only reason that I actually managed to get onto that video was because I put my hair up a little bit, having my glasses on, because my hair looks so awful. So, when we're talking about videos, don't get freaked out about, you don't have the right equipment or you don't know what to talk about, because, once you start talking about something, as long as you guys are talking about things that you know about, something you got some passion about, once you get over that first little stumble of, oh my gosh, what am I actually going to do? It goes off smoothly. So don't get stumbling on that. Just know that videos are a great way to tell your story to people, to connect to people, and Facebook especially is going to promote the heck out of those. So I think you guys are going to be really surprised with how much you're actually going to get on there. So the other way that you can create some interaction with people is asking people for help, because, at the core person of who we are, people like to help other people. So, if you've got a question about something, and I've done this often on my site, I'll just, as I'm building a new sales page, I'll ask people, I really have a, hey Audrey, hi Jamie, how are you guys? as I'm building out new things on my website, I'll put a post on Facebook and say, hey, you know what, this is something I'm doing. Can you guys go check it out? Let me know what you think. Does it look okay? People like to help other people. So they're automatically going to start doing things. They'll come back, they'll post their opinion. As people like to give their opinion about stuff too. So ask for the help. Even if you're not going to be putting, 100% stock in everything that everybody tells you, which you shouldn't, but you're going to get that interaction. You're going to have the feedback from hopefully their ideal clients, but you're going to get some interaction with people and start to see how they're going to be responding with everything. Now, the last tip that I've got for you, this one I actually got from Matthew Kimberly, and he's stinking awesome. I absolutely love him. If you have not checked him out yet, I'm going to put a link down below because his stuff is awesome. It's great. But he talks a lot about how to brand yourself, how to create more sales without being really salesy. And he had a recent blog post about elevator speeches. And, I know, again, when I was back in Avon, we went to this all-day meeting, and part of it was how to figure out what your elevator speech was going to be. And let me tell you, they're boring, they suck, and they just don't work. But Matthew's way of creating what it is, it doesn't suck, and it's actually going to create more value for you in your business. And the basic formula is, I help blank do blank or get blank. So, I help whatever your target market is, get this. Okay. Now, especially when you're in, direct sales or anything like that, even basic businesses, like bookkeepers, nobody's interested in a bookkeeper, right? But if you follow that formula about talking, I help small businesses save money in their business. That sounds a lot more interesting. People are going to have that chance to actually say, wait a second, what does that mean? How do I do all that? So, consider changing your 30-second elevator speech into something that's actually going to create some interest and give them a chance to actually ask you something, right? So, you really kind of want to get away from having all of these preconceived notions of what people think you're going to do. One of the examples that Matthew had given in one of his videos was, a lawyer. Somebody comes up to you and says, what do you do? And they say, I'm a lawyer. Well, guess what? If I don't like lawyers, if I was just in a divorce and I got taken for everything I had, and maybe I don't particularly care for lawyers, I'm automatically out the door. Okay, so you want to get away from all of that. So, if you're a network marketer, you don't want to tell people, oh, I'm an independent representative for Avon. Yay! Because people already think, poorly about network marketing as in a general kind of way. They think it's a pyramid scheme. They think that they're, oh my God, now they're going to start to sell me on everything and I've got to get away as fast as I can. So do away with all that. Stop telling people exactly what you do in the most boring way, because there's no room for anybody to ever give you any kind of response. They're going to have a preconceived notion of what that is. The best you can really hope for is somebody who doesn't understand what exactly it is, and they say, oh, what's that? And then you go into a little bit more. That's the best case scenario. But when you take an approach of, I help these people get this result, then, you've really talking to them, okay? You're showing them right away how you can add value to them just by being who you are. So, a lot of times what I see people do too, especially in direct marketing, is because we always talk about, you've got to talk to your warm market. That's where everything is. That's where all your sales are going to come from. I had a girl that I used to work with, hadn't heard from her in years. We were connected on Facebook. Out of the blue, she sends me this private message talking about how she was, going through all of this stuff in her personal life. It was very similar to me when I had left my husband. And I thought, oh, this is awesome. I haven't talked to her in so long, and I really do actually miss her. And, now she's kind of going through the similar things with me. And she ended the whole thing with a sales pitch about how I should join her network marketing company. And, the whole thing just really put me off of not only that company, but her in general. I have a completely different view of who she is now, and I don't even know if she still sells this stuff, but I'm so put off with it now. Because she kind of tried to weave her way in with a story. She took some of the advice that I'm giving you guys today. She weaved it in with a story. She made this personal connection with me. She's talking to me. She's getting a response from me. And then she hits me with, oh, by the way, do you want to do something for me? Well, why? Why should I do anything for you when you haven't given me any value whatsoever? And the funny thing was, as soon as I eventually said no, because what she was offering it was I think it was a sauna, so it was all health and vitamins and things like that. So it was something that I actually had interest in, and we talked a little bit about different things that I was using and what they were offering. But at the end of the day, when I decided that I wasn't going to make a switch, I wasn't going to change, I haven't heard from her again, and it's been like 3 years. So it just goes to say that you can take a few of these things, but if you're not following the entire thing right through to the end and doing what really needs to be done to build your business, it's not a one-off thing that you can do. You can't just write a little story or make a tiny little connection with somebody and hope for the best. It's really this long process of how you're going to connect to people and keeping them interacting with you. In the case of this gal who sent me that personal message, it was done before it even started because there was no value that she was giving to me. So those are my tips for you guys. To recap really quickly how you get people to interact with you, give them something to actually talk about, figure out what you're doing well, what are they already reacting to, and do more of that, okay? Don't try to reinvent the wheel, do more of what's actually working. If photos are working and links aren't, do more stinking photos, right? Survey the people, ask them what they're actually looking for. Do more videos. I'm going to hold you guys to those ones. Do more videos. Start giving them a reason to talk back to you, and stop kind of cutting yourself off at the knees by telling them exactly what you do without actually giving them any value. So I'm going to be back tomorrow, guys. I don't have the topic ready yet for tomorrow, but I'm going to post it below when I figure out what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to be back. It's going to be more in the afternoon, I think. I think that's going to work out a little bit better for everybody. And don't forget, I'm also doing the free webinar on December 15th, and that's going to happen at noon Eastern Standard Time. This one's more directed at direct marketers. That's what you guys are asking for, so that's what I'm teaching about. How you can actually recruit. So kind of go into some of the stuff that we've talked about today and figure out how you guys can recruit online, get more customers, get more team members. I put a link where you guys can register for that webinar. Until next time, guys, I will see you later.